Yeah, I mean, he had a hard head and he was tough as a motherfucker. I was laying it down, and I remember my hands were killing me after my knuckles and my elbows.
The AllStar app, the #1 app in the business. UFC, Bellator, One Championship, PFL, and more. Get the app right now. Link in description. One thing I was looking at is it's been almost 2 years, man, since that whole UFC thing. You know what I
For
mean?
real. Yeah.
And what do you think about the growth since then? You know what I mean? Because you're heading into, I think, your sixth fight since then, and you've
Yeah.
had a lot of ups and downs, experiences. You know what I mean? Training camps. Like, what? Talk about the growth.
Yeah, I mean, I definitely feel like a whole different human being from that, you know? Day by day, I feel like we change. So I feel like since then, I've changed multiple times. It was I think about it here and there, you know. My number one thing right now that I've been salty about, even though I'm coming off this win off my last fight, I'm still salty about that fucking Diego Silva fight, bro. I'm so salty. I won that motherfucker. I won that fight. If I won that fight, I probably would be where I need to be right now, or where I want to be. But I feel like that hiccup kind of fucking put a roadblock in my way, and I had to rebound with the Ricky fight. And I feel like this is gonna be another fight. As long as I put on a nice showcase finish in this one, I wouldn't even care about what happened 2 years ago. But you know, it haunts me to this day. It's the you know we always think about regrets, and I just regret how everything played out. I'm just so disappointed. Like I wish things played out different. Like the UFC gave me a chance where I was like I got tested and I just got back in and got a fight like I deserved. Because at the end of the day, I feel like I'm fighting dudes that are UFC caliber athletes just outside of the UFC, especially you like a guy like Justin. So it is what it is. I'm just focused on the future now and moving forward and try not to focus on the past with regrets and stuff.
Yeah, it seems like I don't know if I should put this out there, but it seems like guys, even if they're injured, they will sign the contract to fight in the UFC just to get the contract signed. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
And
that's the truth.
then you kind of see something happen later on, like, oh, they had to pull out of the fight. But it's almost like, did they just pull a little sneaky one on the UFC right there? Because I like that's just me conspiracy theory, right? Thinking about
Yeah.
like, but it's smart though. I think it's smart if you can do that, if you can get that contract signed.
Yeah, it's the truth. Yeah, if you can do that, that'd be fucking. You know what I mean? That's your thing. But listen, in my mind, I was fighting Cody Stamann that day, and I remember like yesterday. I remember waking up and just thinking, I'm like, look, all I could do is focus on my max effort and giving everything I got that night, and just how everything played out that morning. And it just felt like it was like, okay, the fight's canceled. You're gone. You know what I mean? Go get another win on the local scene. I'm like, I sacrificed myself. I came out here, cut the weight, did all the medical bullshit they needed me to do, and did my thing. I'm sure there's guys out there that do that, but I've had that dream of just being in the UFC since I was a kid, and it's been my goal, and I've just been chasing it since then. And just to get a chance to get in that motherfucker, I can't wait. I can't wait to just be able to compete under that banner and that headline, and just show that I'm one of the best bantamweights in the world. I can hang with the top 15, top 20, and prove that some of these dudes don't belong there. You know.
Do you feel like this year most likely you'll be there? Like this is the year that you can just go on that win streak. You know what I mean? Because you really only need another win probably, and then that's like okay, you're ready. Let's stay ready. Let's stay on weight.
That's what I'm thinking. It's one of those where I feel like every year I've been hearing that since I was like 10-0. I've been hearing this is the year, this is the year. So so it's like I can't really think about that no more. It's more like you said. As long as I get this other next win, nice little finish, highlight reel, and then late notice. The one thing I could say about everything though now is I'm 28 years old. I feel like I've grown in my own. I know what I am as a fighter and as a human being, and I feel like a different person from the person that was supposed to fight 2 years ago. So just being here now, I feel more ready than ever. And with the training and the team I've been with now, I just want that opportunity to prove myself. And I feel like even if it's late notice, I this year I can stay ready. As soon as I get this fight out in February 17th, I'm gonna keep my weight low. That was one of the hardest things back in the day was when you're coming up. They always tell you the shot's coming, but in your mind you're still eating, smashing. You know what I mean? Getting big and training here and there, and then getting back on when camp needs to go and stuff. And like obviously, a lot of times we're training 365, but when camp happens, you're full throttle. You've seen it before. You're down, you're pushing every day. So I feel like this is the year where I'm gonna just stay buckled in. I know after I get this finish, they're gonna end up calling me on a late notice fight. I'm gonna be ready to make the weight and compete.
All right, let's talk about this fight coming up. LFA 153 co-main event slot. Matheus Silva. What do you think about him?
I mean, he's a karate combat guy, striker, looks tough, lefty. He's tough. But I train with dudes that are savages. I got a few lefties at the gym that I train with at Factory X, and I just feel like they're obviously levels above. So I mean, he's gonna come in, he's gonna come hard, and he's got something to prove. If he beats me, he's gonna get all that shine. So I know he's gonna come hard. I think he's at Glover Teixeira's camp now too, so that's gonna help him. But man, I don't know. I just at this point he's gonna have to legit kill me to beat me, and I'm just gonna give it everything I got to take this dude out and make him a highlight reel.
The karate combat background that makes it interesting, right? That makes you, I guess, it makes you a little bit more quicker to get up in the morning to go to camp, go to train. Does it do that to you a little bit?
I mean, the last few fights have been doing that. You know what I mean? The last few fights, it's like I don't remember the last time where I was like I wasn't motivated to fight somebody because I know like at the end of the day they're fighting me to come up off of me, or they're fighting me with a specific dangerous skill set. You know what I mean? So he's just like the rest of them. I'm just gonna focus on waking up every day and grinding and working hard, and even him or if it's somebody else, I'm always gonna work with the same amount of work I always do, and I'm just focused on that.
Your last fight, you told me that you do believe in ring rust, and then you went in there and dismantled this guy, standing TKO. What did you think about the fight? Beginning to end.
Yeah, I mean, he had a hard head and he was tough as a motherfucker. I was laying it down, and I remember my hands were killing me after my knuckles and my elbows. He was a tough dude. Obviously they were talking about the strength, this, that, strength. He was strong. He was strong, but I don't know. I just my style is I just want to accumulate damage. I feel like if I accumulate damage, the person starts changing, and it's one of those things where I love when I'm able to get in my flow mode. Like I've had a few pro fights where I feel like I've entered flow state, and I just do what I want and cause that damage on the guys, and they start turning into different dudes. And that's what I'm hoping I'm gonna do with Diego next month. I'm just gonna enter flow state, and if that's on the feet, if that's on the ground, just touch him up from my range and where he just has to accept. And once I cause enough damage, just like I did on Ricky, he'll accept. He'll welt up. He'll start looking at his corner, or you know what I mean, or welting up against the fence. So just making him accept is number one focus on mine.
What do you think about standing TKOs, man? A lot of people don't like those because they think like, oh, they should drop, and then you could finish the fight or stop the fight. The referee can. What do you think of those?
Yeah, I mean, I don't know. It's like a lot of guys are different because you hit a certain dude and his legs go rubber. You know what I mean? And then he's doing the chicken dance and he's on his back. You know what I mean? In the first round, I hit him with the right hand and he went down. Right? He went down. His legs. I'm sure he felt like his legs were gone from under him and he was just down because I cracked him hard. In the second round, I felt like every single time I hit him, his legs stiffened up. It was weird. You know what I mean? Like he like got he was like standing on his tiptoes. Because it probably, at the end of the day, you're getting clocked in your head. Your body reacts in different ways. Not everybody falls, especially when we got that fence. I'm sure if we didn't have that fence there, he would have been flat on his back. But at the end of the day, you got to use the environment you're in, and knowing that fence is there, and knowing that if I punch him, he can't back up anymore. So he's taking the max impact. And if I punch him hard enough, even if he doesn't go down, he's still taking the max impact. I'm like, you know what I mean? Just like the Alex Pereira Izzy fight. If you're showing that you don't want to be in there anymore, if you're not swinging back, if you're just sitting there accepting, it's probably over for you anyways. You shouldn't be accumulating damage if you don't want to be in there. I feel like the standing TKO is one of those things where it's like, oh, don't do it. But it's like the fighter's kind of quitting on himself. And quitting is a way of losing. So it's like, if he's quitting on himself, it's over. Why are we continuing this?
Yeah, definitely, definitely. Yeah, I think every fight is a different situation, and I think the referees, if they know the fighters and what type of fighter that they are, yeah, you gotta stop the fight. You know what I mean? Some of them, like you said, they're just too tough for their own good, and they'll just
For
take a
real.
beating for 3 rounds. And then if that actually happens, then people after the fight would be like, "Why did you let the fight go? You should have stopped the fight." That conversation
Exactly.
starts up, right? So
Yes.
it's better for you to get the finish and move on
Exactly.
with
Yeah.
your
You
career.
know what I mean? And then look at it like the Sean O'Malley, Chris Matoya situation. He teed off on him like he was a heavy bag, and then he goes and fights the guy after and gets starched. Like, you know what I mean? It's very similar. Sean O'Malley caused way more brain damage on that kid than that other dude after. The dude stunned him and he was done. But it's I feel like standing TKOs are it's just like dudes quitting, and then like we said, some guys you hit them, they don't fall a certain way. They lock up. They lean into the fence.
Matheus Silva, man, do you feel like you fought anybody similar to him?
I mean, his karate style. I thought that Kevin Worth kid, he was very similar to like a karate style. You know what I mean? And I felt like I was able to find the range pretty smooth on that. But I don't know. I mean, I feel like every single person moves differently. You can't anticipate and be like compare or contrast because I feel like a lot of guys maybe do that with me. They're like, oh, this guy's just hands heavy, pressure, this, and that, and then they feel my presence in front of them, and then it's a different thing. I feel like looking back at fights, you really can't compare two people to to each other because it's gonna be a different scenario for every fight. So I feel like he's never fought a guy like me. I've never fought a guy like him, and it's about who could deal with that. You know what I mean? The change the day of.
And it's interesting because this guy also he's coming off a decent layoff as well. Why do these guys want to fight you off layoffs, man? Why don't
That's a
they?
good question.
Yeah, like
That's
you're
a good question.
dangerous.
I'm assuming he was getting his last win in Brazil or something. He got signed to LFA, Ed Soares, stuff like that. And now that he's in, and they put my name on the table and he accepted it, and I'm grateful for that. So it is what it is. I try not to read too much into the subplot and bullshit of their life. I'm just over here trying to fight. I love fighting so much. I'm just looking forward to being able to compete, and that's it.
Were you able to like enjoy yourself at the end of last year? After the fight, it's like right before Christmas or right before Thanksgiving. It's did you chill for a little bit before you got back
Yeah,
into heavy?
Yeah, I guess. Man, I'll tell you the truth. As soon as that fight was over, I went right back to the gym. I got back to training. We had a few guys fighting. My boy Yusuf Zalal just got the win last Friday. Got to take a win over Jake Childers in Sparta over here in Milwaukee, or in Colorado. And we haven't stopped training. You know what I mean? Since my fight, we both fought. I think the same night that night, and then he got a fight right away scheduled. So we rolled in right into camp. So I think I took a week off and I got right back to sparring, and I like that. And man, I tell you the truth, even with that fight with Fury or for whatever Ricky, and then now this kid, I still can't get the taste of that Diego Silva fight out of my fucking mouth. I can't get it out. I don't care. I'm gonna make Silva pay for for that fight. I'm gonna make him pay. I'm gonna come at this kid hard, and man, I just want to get that fucking thought out of my brain and just create a highlight reel a little bit and get back where I need to be. I've never felt it's crazy because I've lost before, but just that one feeling like I gave max effort, and I feel like I did the most work in that fight, and just being robbed, and how my life could have been on a different trajectory right now if that fight came my way, and where I'm at mentally, physically, emotionally, and spiritually, everything. It's like I felt like I was ready. I was more than ready for anything to come. And it's like maybe losing that fight against him in that way showed me maybe I needed a few more steps up. Maybe that's what it is. But yeah, I just can't wait just to get this fight and just keep going forward this year. I want to try to get 3 or 4 fights this year, and hopefully a few of them will be in the UFC.
Yeah, Silva. You got another Silva. I
Yeah,
guess you
two
can.
silver.
Yeah, and yeah,
I love the Brazilian.
I like that explanation. You know what I mean? That reasoning because sometimes you do need that bad taste in your mouth, right? To just kind of say, okay, I need to go to the next level. Even though I did win that fight, for some reason, it's telling me to do things differently or to level up a different way or something like it. It changes. You know what I mean? That's what this game is about. So that's great to
That's the
see.
truth. That's the truth. I honestly, every time I look back at my fights or think about it, I never think about a win. I never think about a win. Wins I feel like the wins are just, they are what they are. They're experiences. You know what I mean? It is what it is. But I feel like the losses, especially the losses I've had in my career, they're the biggest learning things about. They teach me about myself, about my mental, about my character, and it's just, it's like a fight like that. Even the two fights before that, like just knowing where I was at mentally, physically, emotionally, and with training wise, I'm just happy I'm able to grow from each one. But that one stung a little bit extra.
Yeah, it's great to hear that. Also, your training camp was throughout the holidays as well, because a lot of gyms you see or you hear that people start disappearing during that
Yeah,
time.
the
You
truth.
know, and
Yeah, the truth.
and then you had a solid crew with you. That's great. You know what I mean? That
Yeah,
they rolled
we
through
have
the
not
holidays.
stopped. I'm surrounded by like-minded individuals over here in Colorado. You know what I mean? Factory X is an amazing gym. The coaches are amazing. Coach Mark Montoya is amazing. Yusuf Zalal, Chris Gutierrez, Jonathan Martinez. You know what I mean? They all got big fights coming up, and it's just the camp has been gone nonstop. Like you know what I mean? We as soon as December started, we were just full throttle, and we have guys fighting every weekend. We have a guy Austin Jones fighting this weekend for Fury, and we have dudes fighting next week, the week after. We have I think my date, February 17th. We have 10 people fighting from the gym. So just having that camp of everybody there and just grinding together, that's what you need. You know what I mean? You need an environment with high level individuals and like minded and guys that want to be the best. That's how iron sharpens iron.
Yeah, man. The bantamweight roster you guys have at Factory X is like it's a meat grinder. There's no like easy routes at all.
Yeah, tell me about it. If it's honestly, it's like that on a daily basis. But that's what you need. That's what you need. If you know what I mean, you need to be the hammer some days. You need to be the nail some days, and having just high level individuals, especially my boy UC. Like he's now that he's made bantamweight and he's shown he could be a bantamweight. That guy's he's the future of the bantamweight division. I'm telling you, he's still young. I think he just turned 26. By the time that dude's in his 30s, I guarantee he's top five or he'll touch that UFC title. He's a savage, and I can't wait for him to be back this year. You know what I mean? If we both make our debuts this year into the UFC, that'd be amazing. You know, that's something we always talk about. So that's something I'm excited for. The rest of the team showing out and showing up, and then we got Chris Gutierrez in the top 10, and then Jonathan fighting Nurmagomedov this upcoming March. You know, which is a big fight for him. I feel like that fight cracks him into the top 10, top 15.
What are you expecting, man, in this fight, man? Last fight, you really showed out. You know what I mean? And you really showed the striking as well. What do you see in this one?
Yeah, I mean, man, at the end of the day, I always never like to predict because the fight goes how it goes and you know the flow. But I'm gonna come hard. I'm gonna come fast like I always do in the first round. I'm gonna get in his face and I'm just gonna I'm gonna put it on him. I feel like if I fight to my full potential and put it on him how I want to put it on him, I should get him out of there in the first round. You know what I mean? If not, I'm putting a highlight reel and just touching this dude up on the feet, and you know, what I mean, that's one of my other favorite things about fighting. It's like just creating that beautiful art, and you know, after like you win, you get to watch that and just enjoy your work, and you know, so either that or first round finish is what my main focus is.
One last thing. The last fight, right? You were flowing on the feet. Was there any moment where you're like, all right, let me try some crazy shit? Like, did you ever have that in your mind? Did that ever slip in there? Like, let me try some crazy shit. Let me try some fucking spinning back elbow or so. You know what I mean? Like, because you're styling on somebody, you kind of get that
Yeah,
confidence, right?
yeah, truth. I guess. I mean, I don't know. It's like I guess when I enter, I have a certain like game. I feel like you know. So when I enter flow, my flow is not really to spin or jump or flip or that. It's a I love that just fundamental, just fucking. You know, I was basically raised in Chicago my whole life, so just that boxing style where it's just I'm just throwing the hands. I incorporated something that I've been working out a lot on the last few camps is the elbows. So I was proud of myself to be able to land those from a distance. I feel like that's something the people have a hard time of doing in MMA, and that's something I want to come up on, like you know the Calvin Cater style, where he just throws that jab and the elbows right behind it, and I feel like that's a really good style for me. So I feel like you're gonna see a lot more of that, like me throwing elbows on motherfuckers or knees or you know low kicks or head kick or body kicks. But yeah, no, I never think about that crazy shit. I think about just dissecting and causing damage. That's my main concern. Right now, landing a hard right hand or a hard left hook feels so much better than doing something crazy and then hitting them and then be like, okay, that was awesome. I hit him with that crazy shit, but you know, you're not really sure if you could do that to a dude that's high level, you know. So I'm like, I'm just gonna touch this dude and just sharpen my blade because at the end of the day, even a fight's a fight, but you're in there working. You know what I mean? You're in there training your skill set. I've never done a workout that I honestly that's as intense as a fight. You know, like you get into a fight as soon as you're done. Any fighter will tell you this. You're veined up. Your adrenaline's through the roof. You feel like you just ran on a treadmill with your fucking hands, not your feet. You know what I mean? You've just lifted 1,000 pounds, and I love that. It's like it just feels like you're doing a crazy, high pace hit workout. You know what I mean? And then, but you get to perfect your skill in a live go where you're not pulling back, you're not pulling on the power, you're not pulling on the strikes. You get to just go full out and really test that the stuff you're working on is working. And I felt like in that fight, everything I've been working on in that camp showed. You know, it paid fruition for me in that one.
February 17th, LFA 153. Go in the descriptions, download the AllStar app. Askar, thank you, man, so much for the time and all the best in the fight and the rest of the year, man. It's going to be an
No,
incredible
brother,
one. I can
thank you,
feel
bro.
it.
Thank you, bro. I hope so. This is the year, hopefully.